VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend of the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSiN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
Welcome everybody. Vinny and Amal, wouldn't you think that when you get to week 8 of the National Football League season that winners would simply fall into your lap? I'm telling you, it is just another tricky week trying to pick against the spread.
You know, Brent, sometimes you can look at the menu and say, wow, this sticks out, this pops. And then there are times when you go, well, I'm a little confounded here. And this is one of those weeks. I agree with you.
Brent, I would agree with you. I think when you look at it as the weeks continue to progress, I think some of these matchups become much more difficult because teams have an air of desperation. There's so many factors involved. You're looking at injuries as well. I just don't think it's easy to be able to find 5 games on this menu.
Did you get a new gift? What's that cup?
Yes, sir. Mr. Kane in Brooklyn, New York, sent me a beautiful mug. And I have to say, he's absolutely right. It says, I'm the voice of reason. I have always thought that.
Where does it say that?
Right here, Mr. Magliulo. I know you didn't believe me. I don't need to make things up like this. They're always substantiated.
You wrote your name on here. I can't make an over and under high enough on how many times your name's on it.
Wow. There we have it. Boys, let's check into the Westgate with our buddy John Murray, the sportsbook director over there. This, of course, is Wednesday. That means it is time to put out the lines for the Super Contest and the Super Contest Gold. Mr. Murray, how are you today? You're looking very sharp, my good friend.
I'm good, Brent. I got a suspicion that Amal sent that mug to himself, though.
John knows me very well.
Yeah, he does. He's on the money. Way to go, Big John. As we take a look at this Week 8, of course, tomorrow night there's a game. The Dolphins go to Texas to play Deshaun Watson and the Texans. What kind of a number did you put on the Dolphins and the Texans for the contest?
Houston, a 7.5-point favorite in this game, Brent. It's a pretty market number. Although we did see some wise guys taking Miami plus 7.5 on Sunday night when we first put these lines out.
Okay, and 7.5, that'll cause some of the wise guys to hesitate because of that hook. As we move to Sunday, we go back to London. We've got a 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 East Coast. This, by the way, is where Blake Bortles should always play. He should simply leave the United States mainland, go to London, play for a pickup team, and when the Jaguars come to town, saddle up. You can't beat him in London. So what about the Eagles and the Jaguars, John?
Philadelphia, a 3-point favorite in this game against Jacksonville. It's an interesting line, Brent. This was a pick'em line when we put up our look-ahead line last week, and the Eagles are coming off of a loss, and the line still moved by 3 points. That says a lot about how poorly Jacksonville played this past weekend against the Houston Texans.
Exactly. And Amal, you know, if you go back and look at the last 3 trips, and the Jaguars have gone to London every year, last 3 trips over there, Blake Bortles has virtually played his best football.
You know, I wonder if it's a little bit of a different dynamic in the week. You don't have all the media, everything surrounding you. The team has gotten comfortable with it. You know, we talked about it. I think Philadelphia and they're going over there, obviously. But Carolina, I think, is the only other team that has not played there thus far. And I think the getting familiar with it has helped them.
The joke of the week, John, and that leads us to the Browns and the Steelers, is that head coach Hugh Jackson says he's going to take back the play calling. If that's the case, give me all the Steelers I can get my hands on here as the Steelers host Hugh Jackson's Browns. What do we have for a line, lad?
Pittsburgh is an 8-point favorite at home, and I think the more responsibilities Hugh Jackson takes on, the more you should look to fade the Cleveland Browns, Brent.
I totally agree.
Why would he be taking on any more responsibilities? They should just lock him in the locker room before the game.
This might be the number one consensus play of the week.
I mean, he's fortunate to have a job. He's got Haley. Didn't the Browns put 21 on the board in the second half? And he's second-guessing the play calling?
There you go.
He was the reason they didn't have 3 additional points in that game.
Bingo.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He won 1 game his first 2 years as the coach. You're 0-16 last year. He's lucky he has a job at all. You're absolutely right, Mr. Musburger.
All right. Now we've got the perfect team against the spread. That's right. The Kansas City Chiefs have covered every number. So how large did you make it in Kansas City against Denver, John?
Kansas City a 10-point favorite at home against the Denver Broncos. That line looks a little bit high, but I don't think I want to stand in front of Patrick Mahomes again. Guy's incredible.
What's your feeling about a 10 here, Amal?
Tough number because it's a division game, but I don't have that much confidence in Case Keenum. If you look at throughout the course of the season, he always throws an interception, Brent, at some point in time during the game. And against this team in this building, you cannot make that mistake.
Return engagement for these two within the past month. This is a game, I think, where the handicappers will look and say, I've got double digits. If the Broncos stick to the game plan that they had in the first meeting, where they ran the ball and ran it very successfully, particularly in the first half, it may be a take. But the 10 is probably where you're going to, off the board, certainly two-way action.
All right. The New York Jets take to the road, and they travel to John Murray's Chicago Bears. John, what do you got on the Jets and the Bears, my buddy?
Bears a 7-point favorite this week, Brett, and I'm not going to pick the Bears again for a while, at least for your Super Contest entry. I had a number of the guy tweeted at me today, said, I don't think Brent Musburger was too happy with your Bears pick last week. And I was like, yeah, I know. Thanks.
I didn't send it, John, but I thought it.
No.
Okay.
So, yeah, Brent Musburger burner account sent me that tweet. No Chicago Bears for this week for me, sir.
All right. The Redskins. Redskins have a chance, don't they, to make the playoffs, and they travel up to New Jersey to play the Giants. This game opened around a pick'em. I can't believe the Redskins aren't fair. What'd you make it for the contest, John?
We're using pick'em in the contest. There's some -1 out there on the board, but we're going to go with pick'em in the Super Contest. Although you could argue that the Giants trading Damon Harrison this week, pretty much signaling that they're launching their rebuild right away.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Shermer's all in on analytics and all of that nonsense. I'm all over the Redskins here.
I'm not. This is one of those spots where it looks like the obvious play is Washington. I'm kind of pausing, taking a little bit of just step back on this one.
You don't trust the obvious.
I don't in this one because it's a division game. And here's the thing with Washington. We've seen it, Brent, a couple of times this year. They beat Green Bay at home. They lay an egg to Indianapolis. They play very well against Dallas. We're not sure which Redskins team we're going to get.
Brent, this is a game, and John brought it up, and it's an important point. The game opened pick'em. It went to Redskins 1. There are ones out there, but pick'em for the contest. This is a tricky spot here. Would not shock me. If you hang one here, it's probably all Giants.
Okay, and now, John, we've got a matchup of a couple of teams that I think have surprised folks with how well they have played on occasion. And I'm speaking of the Seattle Seahawks. They saddle up. Boy, they've been on the road throughout the entire first half of this season. The Seahawks will be in Detroit to play the Lions. What do we have here?
Well, certainly the Lions have surprised people. They've covered their last 5 games since that Monday Night Football loss to the Jets. They're going to be a 3-point favorite on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks.
So they are a 3, okay, and that's pretty much the market number, isn't it? And we've got a 10 o'clock in Cincinnati. Bengals, much tougher at home than they are on the road. There is no question about it. And they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John, what do we have in the contest at the Westgate on the Buccaneers and the Bengals?
Bengals are a 4.5-point favorite at home against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers coming off of a very long game last week. Almost had a tie in their game against the Cleveland Browns last Sunday.
And the final 10 o'clock start that we have on the schedule, the Ravens on the road, and they travel to Carolina to play those Panthers who overcame a 17-0 halftime deficit in Philadelphia. What do we have on the Ravens and the Panthers?
Baltimore going to be a 2-point favorite on the road in Carolina. Need better kicking out of Justin Tucker if they want to win this week. That'd be the most shocking play of the NFL season so far.
John, have you seen the replay of his reaction, the tight shot that the camera, his eyes are actually bulging out of his head when he missed it.
He's so good, Brent. I'd be surprised if he missed a 52-yard field goal. I would be surprised. That's
totally
how good
agree.
I think Justin Tucker is. I'm still shocked about it 3 days later.
John, are you aware that, we know he never missed an extra point in the NFL. He never missed an extra point in college. I went back and checked that. This is unbelievable, the streak he had.
Well,
He's
Brent,
one of the best kickers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. He might be the best kicker I've ever seen in the NFL. for him to miss a tying extra point is just impossible to believe.
Now hold on, because the assassin wants the final word.
The voice of reason. The voice of reason.
Let me tell you something. Those Mac Brown teams weren't scoring too many points, Brent. They didn't have to worry about PATs.
I knew it. I knew it. Slap him up alongside the helmet over there. The voice of reason. He could not wait. He could not wait.
Amal, how many of those mugs did you print up for yourself?
John, yours is on the way.
John, I got 3. One in case I break one, and the other one for you over there at the Westgate.
That's beautiful.
Hey, John, run back through. We've got here at this time of the afternoon around the country, people getting in and out of their cars and everything, listening to Sirius XM Channel 204. Run down what we've gone through for the Westgate Super Contest and the Super Contest goals so far.
No problem. Tomorrow night, we've got the Houston Texans as a 7.5-point favorite at home against the Miami Dolphins. Early Sunday morning in London, the Philadelphia Eagles, a 3-point favorite against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be laying 8. That game at Heinz Field against the Cleveland Browns. The Kansas City Chiefs, a 10-point favorite at home against the Denver Broncos. My Chicago Bears are laying a touchdown and an extra point at home against the New York Jets. The Redskins and the Giants are a pick'em at the Giants. The Detroit Lions, a 3-point favorite at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Cincinnati Bengals giving 4.5 to the Buccaneers in Cincy. And the Baltimore Ravens, a 2-point favorite on the road against the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, now before we go to commercial, Vinny and John, I want to get tonight's second game of the World Series line for both the South Point Casino, the sports book, and over at the Westgate. So let me start with Vinny, because we've got so many folks just tuning in over in Southern California, and they're very, very interested in the Dodgers and Red Sox. Game 2, cold weather tonight in Fenway.
And David Price opened $1.35 here. Brent up to $1.42 is right before I came into the studio. Majority of the money coming in on the Red Sox. Total on this one, 8.5 over.
Okay, and John, what do we have over at the SuperBook at the Westgate?
We got as high as minus 144, Brent, because all the money was coming in on the favored Boston Red Sox. We had one of our sharper baseball bettors come in, took the Dodgers plus 134. We knocked the price down. Right now, Boston is a minus 140 favorite.
Okay.
Total's 8.5.
And there we have it, at the tip of the strip at the South Point, and then at the other end, just off the strip at the Westgate. And you can see how the numbers are starting to bounce as we get ready for Game 2 of the World Series. Now, we still have a lot of games to cover in the National Football League in Week 8. We've got 5 more to go through. We're talking about the Super Contest over at the Westgate. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
You didn't catch vsin last week. Here's some of what you missed.
When you take a 3-team tease with 10 points, you're always under that gun. Well, I'll win 2, I'll lose 1, and then the bet's over. But I did my homework this week, as I try to do. And I really like UCLA.
And then who do you want to pair them with?
Houston is at Navy. They're at Annapolis. Houston is 11.5 points, so I would take that game down to 1.5, and then Houston would just have to win by 2.
Right. And then your third team.
Memphis is at Missouri.
And you liked Memphis last week. You were all over Memphis.
I was all over Memphis. Another high-powered team, very good offensive team. I think it's a shootout. I think this could be a 100-point game.
So I go play my lucky machine here, and knowing Ryan, Michael, you guys, this best machines in town. Bob Dancer will tell you. It took about 3 minutes, Mitch. Won about $5,000. Took about 3 minutes. I will buy you lunch today. Can you get a shot of me here? Yeah.
So you're showing up like at 4:01. We wave you off, and you decide to go play video poker, and you hit a royal flush in 3 minutes, and you just won $5,000.
Close to 5,000.
Yeah. It's good. I like the way that works.
In baseball, when we talk about, those of us who handicap baseball and have done so for many years, we always, in our analytics, we talk about splits. And specifically, we talk about home road splits sometimes with certain pitchers. Just an odd thing with certain pitchers based on ballpark. Some teams sign pitchers based on their skill set and their particular dimensions and conditions of their own ballpark. Some of these football teams in the NFL this year seemed particularly home-road splittish.
So they were really just protecting themselves. Yeah, except for that dude on the right. I don't know what he's clowns thinking he's going to do. Yeah. But the two guys that hit in the orange shirt and the blue, they weren't. Like, the orange shirt's more leaning towards the right. The guy in the blue is kind of protecting himself. Mookie's glove closed before the ball. I don't know if that's because he touched a hand or not, and it's a reaction. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but what I do know is the fans did not go into the field of play to interfere with that ball. I thought that calling that an out was wrong. I mean, I don't know how else you put it. Jose Altuve in Houston got robbed.
Now back to Sin City and my guys in the desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
October continues. The NBA, the National Hockey League, are with us. Game 2 of the World Series. And, of course, we're talking about Week 8 of the National Football League. We're with John Murray from the Westgate SuperBook, and we're talking about the contest numbers. Remember, these are static numbers. They will not change. All of us who are involved in that contest will pick against these numbers. We pick up with a late starting game. A fascinating match, probably more so for me because I'll be over there at the game at Oakland. But the Raiders are hosting the Colts, who have been favored in this game. And what did you put on it for the contest, John?
Colts are going to be a 3-point favorite on the road against your Oakland Raiders. The Colts offense looks a lot better lately. Andrew Luck's putting up huge numbers. Seems to really have fit in well with Frank Reich's offensive scheme there in Indianapolis.
You know, John, you're right on the money. I went back before I came down today, and I took a look at just the last 3 games, figuring, okay, that gives Andrew Luck enough time here with this team. They're putting points up on the board. The Raiders are going to have to score more points than they've been scoring. And, of course, everybody knows they're without Marshawn Lynch, and they traded away Amari Cooper. So Vinny, this is going to be a tough test for the Raiders. They are coming off their bye. I hear that Osemele is much healthier, so they may be a little bit better on the offensive line than they were in London.
Brent, I think if you look at the Colts, Andrew Luck, to your point, to John's point, he's probably the best third down quarterback, even maybe a little better than Mahomes at the rate he's going. But, of course, he's throwing the ball 65 times a game. The other thing you have to handicap when it comes to the Raiders, and now we're going to see it with the Giants as well, is this trade mode that they're in, stockpile draft picks and build for the future. So that's another element that you've got to take into consideration with the Raider games.
I think Vinny's spot on. My concern when you look at the Giants, and you talked about it a little bit earlier, and the Raiders, they're starting to make moves that it kind of decimates the locker room, the mentality of the team. I was just surprised, though, that the Raiders are a home underdog. I thought this might be a little bit closer towards a pick. I know the Raiders are trending down, though.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that because that's the one thing that caught my attention here, that because their lone win came against the Cleveland Browns. Raider fans, they're like no other. And I know they're going to turn out. They'll probably turn sour if things go south in a hurry, but it's an amazing fan base, despite all the losing seasons here of the last decade and a half. Now, the teams that have disappointed for a variety of reasons, injuries are certainly amongst them, but they will meet down in Arizona. And this is a game that I'm absolutely fascinated in. The Cardinals beat the 49ers up in Santa Clara earlier, a few weeks back. So, John, over at the Westgate, what do we have on the rematch? The 49ers playing at the Cardinals' home base.
We're going to use the 49ers as a 1-point favorite on the road here. There's a lot of pick 'em out there. Some 49ers won. We decided to go with the Niners as a 1-point favorite.
Okay, so the Niners are a road favorite in this game. All your early thoughts on these two teams who are bottom feeders right now.
Yeah, you know, you look at San Francisco defensively, they've given up at least 24 points in every game. That's one of their major deficiencies. But on the flip side, I don't know if Arizona's offense is proficient enough to take advantage of that.
Brent, if you look at that game a couple of weeks ago, the 49ers pretty much dominated the statistics. The key was 5 turnovers. They made 5 turnovers. It was 28-18 Cardinals, but 5 turnovers absolutely crippled the Niners in that game.
Okay, now we get to what I think are the 2 most fascinating games of the weekend, and again, for a variety of reasons. And this will be the key doubleheader game, and we're talking with John Murray over at the Westgate SuperBook. We're getting the Super Contest numbers. The Packers at the high-flying Rams. What did you do with this one, John?
Rams a 9.5-point favorite at home against the Green Bay Packers. Packers are coming off their bye. They've got Aaron Rodgers. Pretty sure the public is going to weigh in on the Packers as a dog in this game. We've already seen a few money line bets come in on Green Bay here at the SuperBook.
Hey, John, have the Packers ever been in the Rodgers era this big an underdog? 9.5 is huge for the Packers with Rodgers.
I certainly can't remember them being anywhere near this big of an underdog with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, only when he was hurt and they had to go to some of their less talented backups.
Yeah, I agree with John. Brent, I think the key here is Rodgers kind of sat out a couple of these early practices this week too. You've got two public teams, but the more popular public team right now is the Rams with the way they score points.
You know, this Rams offense is just incredible. But if you look at that San Francisco game, thought they had some opportunities offensively, didn't necessarily capitalize. You're giving me Aaron Rodgers. I got to be within 14 points late in the game.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances of him going down 75 yards. I mean, I just think this offense is good enough for Green Bay to keep it within that double digits.
Okay, now the game of the week, the rematch, the Minneapolis Miracle, the New Orleans Saints, and they are at Minneapolis again for this rematch. What did we do with the Saints and the Vikings, John?
Minnesota, New Orleans going to be a pick'em here in the Super Contest, Brent. We opened this game Minnesota minus 2.5. We saw some sharp guys take the Saints. We're going to deal this thing at a pick'em. This is clearly the best game of the week in the NFL.
Absolutely, Vinny.
Great game. Terrific action, Brent. Off the board, you may wind up in a situation where the Saints go to the favorite here, especially given some of the moves that they've made recently.
I look at this matchup, Brent. I think it's the best one out there. I'm going to stay away from it. I think this is the kind of game where in-live betting comes very important. You could have a team fall behind 7. All of a sudden, you can get plus 3.5 or 4.5 in the game, and you can take it.
Okay. The Monday Nighter, and the Patriots will be a big road favorite here, I'm sure, as they go up to Buffalo to play the Bills. And John Murray, what's the Super Contest number here?
Monday night game not as attractive as the Sunday night game. New England a 13.5-point favorite on the road in Buffalo.
13.5 points on the road. That's just division game, but it is Buffalo.
It is
38-10 New England.
So is New England your pick 'em all? Got them covering easily, buddy.
I didn't. In case they were yours, I didn't want to say yes, but yes, affirmative.
Okay.
Ouch.
No, that's not my pick. Although I wouldn't take Buffalo. I'm not going to look to back those Bills. Their quarterback situation's a little messy.
You're absolutely right.
There's the
All right, John. Time to break the Murray losing streak. Time to give momentum to VSIN 1 again. What is your pick for VSIN 1, lad?
You know, Brent, I got to just quickly throw the guys here that I work with under the bus, Ed, Jeff, Randy. I asked all of them for a pick, and this is what they give me. Oh, I don't really like anything this week. Oh, that's great. That really helps me. I'm going to go with Seattle +3. They're on the road against the Lions. I know the Lions have been on fire against the spread. I think this line is too high. Seattle coming in off their bye week after an impressive win in London. I'm going to go with the Seahawks plus the 3 points.
Okay, we've got the Seahawks down, and I definitely do not dislike this pick. I was just listening, as a matter of fact, to Pete Carroll. And Wright, his injured linebacker, has got a chance to be in this lineup, and he will add a force. I am surprised at how well, Amal, the Seahawks have played on both sides of the football here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think people have underestimated them, and they've written them off. I think Pete Carroll is a great coach. They've got some pretty good players. You mentioned KJ Wright just now. They need him back in that lineup. He can be a difference maker for them. It's going to be interesting to see. By the way, Brent, I have to amend my play here. I'm looking at the sheet we have in front of us. I thought New England was at home based on the way it's listed here.
They're on the road.
I did not
on the road.
I did not know that 13.5 would be on the road. Okay.
It's on the road. So you're off the Patriots.
I'm off the Patriots.
Okay, so the Patriots come off.
Hey, John, I'm going to show you the sheet. I thought it was at New England.
Can I lay 13.5 on the Patriots with you when they do play in New England? 13.5 at home. I'm all.
Hey, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, but have you seen Derek Anderson play? Last week I said he could throw with his left hand. He'd be more effective. I was probably correct because he threw 3 picks.
Yeah, I don't know how you could back Buffalo. I mean, they just – you're going to get down 14-0 right away, and you're just going to be like, why did I do this to myself?
All right, John, run back through the 1 o'clocks and the 2 primetime games for everybody.
No problem. We'll start with the Colts. They are a 3-point favorite on the road against the Oakland Raiders. 49ers are laying 1 in Arizona against the Cardinals. You've got the LA Rams laying 9.5 at home against the Green Bay Packers. Saints Vikings, the rematch of the Minneapolis Miracle in Minnesota. That game is a pick'em. And New England is laying 13.5 at Buffalo Mall. That game is in Buffalo.
So, it's almost time to start thinking a little bit about Super Bowl matchups, who's going to win the NFC and the AFC. So Vinny and John can think about the teams that are favored. I dropped by Boyd Gaming over at the Suncoast, and the Chiefs are even money to win the AFC, and the Patriots are 2-1. And I was fascinated because it's been a long time coming when I see a team in Week 8 that is rated up there with the Patriots to win the AFC. And remember, head-to-head, the Patriots were able to win that one. It was a great game, 43-40. Vinny, what do we have at the South Point to win the AFC?
I'm trying to...
You have that? How about, John, how about over at the SuperBook?
I'm pulling it up right now. I want to make sure I have them all correct for you.
Okay.
The Patriots are plus 225, and Kansas City is plus 175.
Okay.
About 5 cents different. Yeah, they're right there, Brent.
They are right there, aren't they?
Yep.
Go ahead, Amal.
Plus 250 or plus $2 for the Chiefs. And what'd you say, John? That you had the
225 and 175.
225 and 175.
Yep, that's it. Right there.
Okay, and
I would look at New England because if Kansas City drops one more game, and I'm looking at the Patriots' schedule, they only really have 2 to 3 more games where you feel like they may be really challenged. Mm-hmm. If they're able to go 13-3, 12-4. There's a strong possibility they could wind up with home field advantage throughout. Look, if they have to go to Kansas City, I think the Chiefs win. But if you're telling me I'm getting the Patriots at this price, basically in the AFC Championship game, Brent, New England is not going to be, or Kansas City is not going to be more than a minus $1.50 to $1.75 on the money line. You can hedge it right there. Okay, now, guys, over on the NFC, Boyd Gaming had the Rams at minus 150, Eagles 13-2, Vikings 4-1, Packers 6-1. And the Saints 3-1. So obviously we've got more contenders in the NFC than we do in the AFC. What do we have here at the South Point and at the Westgate? Let's start with you, John.
Yeah. The Rams are minus 120 here, sir. And you've got to think the Rams just have the inside track to that number 1 seed. They look very likely to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Some of the other contenders, the Saints are 4-1. The Vikings are 6-1.
Rams even and plus 350 for the Saints. Saints second choice.
If you're going to bet the Saints, bet them now before the game next week because they host the Rams after this Minnesota game.
Okay, so there we have it. And John, we want to thank you a lot. And again, the big bet that was made over there at the SuperBook on the World Series came in on the Dodgers. Is that what you told us earlier?
Yeah, the sharper player. We had a guy that I respect. He's a good baseball bettor. He took the Dodgers plus 134 for tonight's game.
For tonight's game 2. And what's the price here again, Vinny, on game 2 of the World Series?
Minus 42 plus 32.
Okay.
Red Sox.
All right, John, thanks a lot. The Seahawks are in for VSiN 1. Good luck, my friend. We're going to go 5-0.
I'm rooting for you, sir. I want to come through. I had a sleepless night last night trying to come up with a winner for you. So hopefully Russell Wilson and the guys get it done for us.
Big John, Big Bad John. Okay, he's over there at the Westgate SuperBook. We'll check in. He'll be around live at VSiN next Tuesday. And what I remind everybody about, cashing tickets is what it's all about. So that's what, let's see what we've got here. Oh, listen to this. They put the New England Patriots on Point Spread Weekly. Okay, so they're all over the Patriots as they go up into Buffalo for the Monday Nighter. And again, I want to point out that Point Spread Weekly really can help you, lead you to more wins. And now's the time to subscribe. There's a special limited time offer now, even though we're halfway through the football season. Get Point Spread Weekly and access to everything we do for just $99 through the Super Bowl. All right? It's a 90-page edition that'll come your way every week, okay? And you'll find betting trends, systems for the primetime games on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night. And you've got rundowns on all the college games. If nothing else, the one thing that I love Point Spread Weekly about is it's got all the records in there. Past games, future games. I can see what's ahead for some of these teams, and I can see what's behind them. I can see what they average running the ball, what they average throwing the ball. And there's also betting coverage of the National Hockey League, the Canadian Football League, and NASCAR. So go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense, including that special offer now, $99 through the Super Bowl next February. Point Spread Weekly and full access to our live video and replays. vsin.com/subscribe.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
We ready? We take teasers on the NBA.
Oh, my man.
Hold on.
My man knows. I can't resist. How about Moneyline Parlay?
There you go. How can you tease the NBA? There's 220 points might be scored.
That's my
this
point.
Extra 4.5 points are really going to do me good. I guarantee he makes the bet.
I can lay 8 with the Warriors. Okay. All right. Now, the Celtics, I can bring them down. Which way, Vinny, do I make more money on the $100? The tees or the money line?
Hey,
Okay.
do yourself a
So-
favor. Don't put either job you have.
You know, I watched last week when they put Purdue put 46 straight points up on Illinois. And the play calling, creative and aggressive play calling by Jeff Brom is something you just don't see from a lot of coaches. And frankly, there's a lot of NFL coaches would be served to watch film of this guy's play calling and adjust, because I love how aggressive the guy is. And I think they're going to attack Ohio State Saturday night in prime time. And I think the Buckeyes are going to be sweating. They should be on upset alert. I wouldn't be shocked if Purdue wins that game straight up.
Could you please, sir, give us one moment of non-humility where you share once again the stuff that actually started with you? Because we talk about season wins with Jimmy all the time, but you started some stuff.
I had a few things I started. The mega teaser, the super teaser, whatever you call it, that card.
The three-team 10-point
teaser. Yeah, I was the first to come up with that.
That's you. The stuff that everybody takes for granted.
Yeah.
That was you.
I was the first to come up with that.
Wait, JVT's favorite team is the Colts?
Oh, you didn't know this? Loves the Colts. He's got a Colts. He has a Colts tattoo, Jay. He has a Colts tattoo.
Okay, that's inaccurate, but I do have a Colts watch.
Jay, let me ask JVT a question then. What does the Colts stand for?
I'm sorry?
What the Colts?
Like, what is a Colt?
The Colts.
It's a baby horse.
Yes, COLTS. What does that stand for?
I have no idea. What does that stand for?
Oh, I was told this by a Colts fan many years ago, and I still remember it today. Count on losing this Sunday.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN Action Update. The Red Sox are favored again tonight in Game 2 of the World Series, but not by as much as they were last night when they closed a consensus 70 cents. With David Price opposed tonight by the Dodgers' Hyunjin Ryu, the Red Sox are 42-cent favorites here at the South Point. There's 15 cents of overjuice on the 8.5-run total. Sky over Fenway is clearing. It's breezy. It's 45 degrees. The wind chill's going to dip to 35. The wind will blow from third to first. Are the New York Giants turning into the Raiders of the East? A day after trading cornerback Eli Apple to New Orleans, New York has sent defensive tackle Damon Snacks Harrison to Detroit. ESPN said that the Giants got a 5th-round pick in return. By the way, CBS's Jason La Canfora says the teams are sniffing around possible deals for Giants corner Janoris Jenkins and Oakland cornerback Garyon Conley. Arizona cornerback Patrick Peterson says he's cooled off from the frustration of a bad season, going on Twitter to say now he's 100% committed to the Cardinals. Peterson had said he wanted a trade. Arizona is a pick'em at home Sunday against the 49ers. The Broncos cut backup quarterback Chad Kelly barely a day after police arrested him on suspicion of showing up uninvited in a Halloween cowboy costume in someone else's Denver home. In the NBA tonight, LeBron James and the Lakers are 5-point road favorites to beat Phoenix and get their first win of the season. Undefeated Toronto, now an 8.5-point home favorite against Minnesota. Unbeaten Milwaukee, 5.5, hosting Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. Yes, Simmons returns from an aching back. Hockey, Winnipeg hasn't lost at home in regulation since February, going 14-0-1 since. In a half hour, they are 35-cent favorites, hosting Austin Matthews in Toronto. For the latest odds all the time, visit vsin.com. Now, more with Brent Musburger here on VSiN.
Now back to Sin City and my guys in the desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
Flatterman, didn't the Golden Knights win a game?
Regular season. I should have said regular season.
Oh, regular season.
There you go.
Up there. Okay.
Those playoff games don't mean anything, do they?
Shocking. And World Series Game 2. You didn't have anything going last night. I had the Dodgers to win the series, and if I'd have waited until today, I could have gotten plus 220 on the Dodgers. Do you have anything?
You get 280.
Is it 280 now to win?
Yeah.
Wow, money's still coming in on the Red Sox. How about Game 2? You going to play it?
Yes, I'm going to go Dodgers just for value, and I also think Ryu's in a good spot. Look, Price has pitched much better in the postseason, and he seems to be getting ahead of steam, but not so sure that I just can't see this thing going to be 2-0 going to L.A. I mean, that's just a gut feeling there.
Since Ron's update, Dodgers now, the Red Sox, $1.40, so a little bit of a couple of cents buyback on the Dodgers in the last couple of minutes.
So I had the Dodgers money line last night and the run line, and I have a bone to pick with Dave Roberts.
No.
When Pedro Baez is mowing everybody down, you don't bring in a guy that can't get up to 90-something on the gun, let alone strike anyone out. And I got to give John Smoltz credit. He called it. He said, Eduardo Nunez, one of the best bad ball hitters, and boom, next pitch, 3-run bomb.
Gone.
There's a cheap shot artist over at the Los Angeles Times who's been taking shots at Smoltz, and I'm thinking, what are you thinking of? He's as good a baseball analyst as we've had in decades, for crying out loud.
He is. I'll tell you what. There are guys that make great calls. I thought A-Rod had a great call on Gore in the Cubs game when he said he should take ball 4. But this one, next pitch, it was a bad ball. The ball was out of the zone, low and in, and I don't even know how he got the bat on the ball, let alone getting it over the monster.
Did I hear that
Smoltz is good?
Half the Red Sox runs in this postseason have been knocked in on two straight pitches? Or 2 out pitches?
2 outs.
2 outs. 2 outs. Now, my bone, well, it's not a bone to pick with Dave. He gambled, and it backfired. Listen, when you go to Fenway, you've got to have knowledge defensively, and you've got to have players out there that can make plays. And I want to go to 3 plays that strike me, as I recall last night. First of all, Freese is not their best first baseman. And had he been able to, and I'm not going to blame Fenway for just misplaying that foul ball. It was almost fair. Mookie Betts. They might not have let the Red Sox score in the first inning. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, on that triple hit to center field, I thought that maybe there was a shot at going back into the center. I couldn't tell, even from the replay, but a veteran center fielder in Fenway would not have played it the way it was played. Number 3, Peterson did not know how close that wall comes or where it was when he went over on that foul ball. So Dave gambled with a right-handed hitting lineup. It backfired. His pitching changes backfired. And when he didn't pinch hit for Freese against a right-handed pitcher, he probably should have. Okay. The Red Sox, they won 108 games for a reason, being the best team in baseball. I thought they played very, very well overall. But I got to tell you, you got to make plays defensively in Fenway when you go in there. And I didn't think the Dodgers were up to speed defensively, to tell you the truth. That's my observation.
I totally agree with you. So I'm gonna start and end my comment with the same point. You can't take anything away from the Red Sox. They were great. They were terrific, and they earned it. But they earned it because they took advantage of getting extra outs. Yasiel Puig has no business throwing that ball home.
Vinny, I was just about to say that. The first inning was terrible.
It's one thing to not understand the nuances of the ballpark, Brent, to your point, is absolutely spot on. All right, especially on the lines. However, you do have to know, especially in the first inning, the odds, which is our business, of you throwing out Mookie Betts on that play are non-existent.
Exactly.
So you can't make those kinds of mistakes and give the Red Sox extra opportunities, particularly extra outs. They'll kill you.
Exactly.
He is so right. To me, that play, even though in the grand scheme of things it may not have impacted the game, but it does, because all of a sudden now they wind up with a 2 spot where they probably would have wound up with a 1 run in that inning. And then the other thing I thought was critical was in the bottom of the 5th inning. he kept Kershaw in to start against Betts and Benintendi. He was already having issues. He had already given up 8 base runners via hit and walk going into the 5th inning. And so to me, at that point in time, you had to make the move. He was around 80 pitches. I wasn't worried about the pitch count, but you could tell he did not have his best up. 2 walks at that point, 6 hits already. I thought it was a time to go to the bullpen to start the bottom of the 5th, not wait until you walk Mookie Betts, and then Benintendi gets a hit.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
And 2 thoughts on this. Remember, because of the rain delay, there was no batting practice beforehand. A lot of Dodgers who haven't seen Fenway recently or at all, getting their first look at it at night. They had the warm-up day the day before. That also includes running the outfield and knowing there's no foul territory there, which we saw. The other thing, too, let's not forget this. Clayton Kershaw's ERA in the postseason, I think, is 2 runs higher than his ERA in the regular season.
Yeah,
we just can't get around that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thanks, Flatterman. When we come back, one of our buddies is going to drop. Oh, man, he's got a new job. John Avello. No longer over at the Win. We'll talk to Big John when we come back live. VSIN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSIN last week, here's some of what you missed.
When you take a 3-team tease with 10 points, you're always under that gun. Well, I'll win 2, I'll lose 1, and then a bet's over. But I did my homework this week, as I try to do, and I really like UCLA.
And then who do you want to pair them with?
Houston is at Navy. They're at Annapolis. Houston is 11.5 points, so I would take that game down to 1.5, and then Houston would just have to win by 2.
Right. And then your 3rd team.
Memphis is at Missouri.
And you liked Memphis last week. You were all over Memphis.
I was all over Memphis. Another high-powered team, very good offensive team. I think it's a shootout. I think this could be a 100-point game.
So I go play my lucky machine here, and Ryan, Michael, you guys, this best machines in town. Bob Dancer will tell you. It took about 3 minutes, Mitch. Won about $5,000. Took about 3 minutes. I will buy you lunch today. Can you get a shot of me here? Yeah.
So you're showing up like at 4:01. We wave you off, and you decide to go play video poker, and you hit a royal flush in 3 minutes, then you just won $5,000.
Close to 5,000.
Yeah. It's good. I like the way that works.
You know, in baseball, when we talk about, those of us who handicap baseball and have done so for many years, we always, in our analytics, we talk about splits. And specifically, we talk about home road splits sometimes with certain pitchers. Just an odd thing with certain pitchers based on ballpark. Some teams sign pitchers based on their skill set and their particular dimensions and conditions of their own ballpark. Some of these football teams in the NFL this year seem particularly home road splittish.
So they were really just protecting themselves. Yeah, except for that dude on the right. I don't know what he's clowns thinking he's going to do. Yeah, but the 2 guys that hit in the orange shirt and the blue, they weren't. Like, the orange shirt's more leaning towards the right. The guy in the blue is kind of protecting himself. Mookie's glove closed before the ball. I don't know if that's because he touched a hand or not, and it's a reaction. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but what I do know is the fans did not go into the field of play to interfere with that ball. I thought that calling that an out was wrong. I mean, I don't know how else you put it. Jose Altuve in Houston got robbed.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Well, look who dropped by from DraftKings here. Vinny Magliulo, our buddy Johnny Avello, huh?
I know this guy.
Yeah, we all do.
Newly appointed at DraftKings. Congratulations.
You can tell by my new attire, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually been training today. There's a lot to learn, a lot of new systems, and so when you're learning something new, you dress casually. You know that, right? Because you don't need anything tight around your neck.
Exactly. You don't want to be choking early. You know what I'm saying? John, tell me where DraftKings stands vis-a-vis the state of Nevada and being licensed to go ahead and take bets here. And tell us something about what the company, how they envision the future. I know they've changed a lot of things with DraftKings.
Well, as far as Nevada, that's a process, and so anytime you want to come to the state of Nevada, there's a lot of work to do. So I can't tell you exactly when that process is going to take place. but I believe it is in the works. As far as the way the company is positioning themselves is to, since this is taking place, where sports betting is happening throughout the country, so we're part of that now, and so we want to be everywhere where that's going to be. And so we like to pick certain locations where we feel comfortable with, and it's a great team. I'll tell you, it's a fantastic team to work with. It's a smart team, and everything's done strategically and thought through before anything takes place.
All right, DraftKings have hired John Avello, one of the most respected bookmakers here in Las Vegas. He's known Vinny Magliulo for forever. And just to what Vinny and John, take a look at this. I've got the World Series prices from around the United States. I've been very curious to see if there would be differences, especially in Atlantic City. And here at the South Point, if we just look at the Red Sox, minus 270. But if you look at the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City, it's minus 278. So, John, and there are the numbers up there. Now, there is FanDuel. And FanDuel, Meadowlands, Vinny, is that where FanDuel is?
I believe, I think it is Meadowlands, Brent, yeah.
And so that would be minus 260 there. And, John, as you study those differences, do you think anything significant with the differences of Atlantic City with the Golden Nugget and here with South Point, Westgate, and William Hill?
Not much. Those numbers are so close that I think it's based on where your money is at that point. So I didn't see any striking differences there, maybe 10 or 15 cents either way. Mm-hmm. Since the city of Boston right now doesn't have wagering, that's where you would see a significant difference. If
Massachusetts,
in Massachusetts itself, then that's where our company's based. So. But we do have a mobile app. I don't know if you guys realize that in New Jersey.
Tell us about that, Johnny, because you are taking sports wagers now on the mobile app in New Jersey.
Yes, and it has a significant portion of the market back there. So it's it's been in existence since I think 3 months now. I think it was August, September, and now October. It's doing really well, and can't say enough about the handle back there for the early stages of New Jersey wagering.
John, we've got a lot of loyal listeners in New Jersey and New York and Pennsylvania. If they want to get a DraftKings account and they want to get that app loaded, where do they fund it and how do they fund it for DraftKings back east in New Jersey?
DraftKings app in the store. In the Apple Store, you'll find it, and you just download it, and you can sign up. The process is much easier than it is in Nevada.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can load it with a credit card or something, and you don't have to drop cash off in a window? Is that right?
That's correct.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, and by the way, Nevada has enacted not legislation yet, but the regulators are looking and working in conjunction with the licensees, Brent, to streamline the process here in Nevada, which you have to pay attention to what's happening back east. And to what Johnny was speaking about, because the other part of it, Johnny, a lot of times, a lot of the apps there, and I'd like to know if the DraftKings one is in line with this. There's other wagering options as well, besides sports wagering, right? There's, I think, casino-style games in some of the apps and things like that, too. And it's out of one purse, if you will, one bankroll.
We are not involved in that yet.
Right.
But, yes, it's a wallet. And, yes, your wallet gives you options, and we've talked about that here in the state. We had to kind of separate our areas here in the state of Nevada. We had horse racing although it was on one phone and one application, you had to fund those separately. You had to sign up for those separately.
Now, I assume that they're still very deeply involved in fantasy sports because that's what, that's how they came to the public consciousness was about 3-4 years ago, that amazing advertising campaign at the start of the NFL. And I think that some of the owners, I believe they own minority stakes in DraftKings, if I recall correctly.
Oh, you mean some of the leagues themselves?
Yeah,
the leagues. I'm not sure what the league's affiliation still. I'm sure that they're still involved. I can't tell you exactly who is and who isn't involved, but I can tell you it's still a major portion of our business, and we'll continue to do so. I mean, it's just a great. it's the fantasy spot portion of wagering is totally different than sports wagering.
Yes, it is.
There's a totally different concept behind how you wager on that.
Now, Johnny, you've been back east. You went to Boston, you went to Atlantic City. You had to go to Mississippi as well, right? So talk about what's the excitement, what's the vibe like around the country, particularly in the jurisdictions that have added sports wagering. And I know you're talking to some other jurisdictions that are going to add it. How excited are people on both sides, both from the operator's perspective and the bettor's perspective?
I'm trying to go to areas where it is legal and it's up and running, and I'm finding that the bettors themselves are happy it's there. They're a little confused in some spots on actually how to wager. They'll get more comfortable. I'm sure people were uncomfortable here in Nevada back in 1930 or so too, when gambling first started, and in sports back in the 60s or so. But they're receptive very well. Both the people who are wagering and the people behind the counter. It's created jobs. They're still trying to figure out exactly how they want to present it. What the offering is going to be. But it's great to see. I mean, for me, it was a happy time to see something new in a different state.
So one of your trademarks is something near and dear to us, and I know Ron Flatter will be very interested in this. He probably already talked to you about it. Your Kentucky Derby future book, because typically this is the time of year, right around the Breeders' Cup, the juvenile once the juvenile champion is crowned, it becomes the Derby, the leader in the club, in the barn, so to speak. You're going to still participate and create the Johnny Avello future book for the Derby?
The future book is ready to go. I'm going to hopefully spring that in the next, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks or so. Okay. That's what I'm hoping to do. So I'm refining a little bit, and I just told Ron, stay tuned.
All right.
John, when you look at this from a consumer standpoint around the country, how it's starting to pop up, do you see ever, especially in a place like Atlantic City where it gets comparable to what we have here in Las Vegas? The great thing in Vegas is there's so many options. If you don't like a line at point A, you can go to point B. One of the things that I love that you used to do at the Wynn is you'd have either a 7.5 or a 6.5. The rest of the world has a 7. I always liked that you stuck your neck out there.
Well, yeah, it was always based on, it wasn't trying to be different. Yep. It was just that when we opened up an early line, that was where we started, and sometimes we weren't bet to any other number. And, we had a lot of big players, too, at the hotel, so they actually, big bets, there's a couple of things that'll push you off a number.
Sure.
And that's a significant amount of money on a game, or if you're getting sharp action on it. Otherwise, you're pretty much holding. So it was usually one of those two things that made us different. But if we opened a game different on a Sunday morning, on a Sunday at 3 in the afternoon, we had a game different, and we didn't have a bunch of money on it, we would just hold and stay at that number regardless of what was around.
What are some of the biggest differences you're noticing, Johnny, from for all the years, 40 years in the business here in Las Vegas, both in the pit and behind the counter in the book? Some of the biggest differences you're noticing as you travel around the country?
Well, I haven't got a real handle on around the country yet, because it's relatively new. But what I can tell you from an operator's viewpoint, it's all and actually a bettor's viewpoint, it's about technology. I mean, things are just changing so fast. What was the way it was 6 months ago is not the way it is now. I mean, that's how fast it changes. So there's different opportunities and different ways to wager, and different types of systems, and it's mind-boggling to me the way things are going, and I'm just really happy to be a part of it, because it's not only a learning experience for me, the bookmaking part, I've been around for a long time, but the technology part is not only new for me, but I think new for even the guys that are technology people.
Putting it together, yeah. And over in Europe now, you have to go over to Europe, and you have to do a little research over there?
I need to keep learning as much as I can, the way it's changing. There's a lot of not only new systems, way of booking, in-game wagering, algorithms. I mean, these are just things that that I've always been interested in. I've always been a math guy, so it's just things to learn. And as you get older, it gets a little more difficult learn, but I'm giving it the best shot I can.
You got homework?
John, are you keeping an eye on the World Series with the Dodgers and the Red Sox? And what are some of your thoughts?
Well, I said the Red Sox would probably win in 6, and Game 1 was a matchup. It didn't go the way I thought it would be. I thought it would be more of a pitcher's duel. Now you look at Game 2. I'm not a real Price fan. He's not the type of guy that nibbles on corners. He usually catches too much at a plate, and he's good against average batting teams, but against good hitting teams, he struggles. And this could be one of those times tonight where he does struggle. He always puts up decent numbers, but this is a big game tonight, and in big time positions that hasn't been his forte.
Yeah, exactly. Johnny Avello now, the head of DraftKings and based here in Las Vegas. John, thanks for dropping by, my friend. We'll be checking in with you regularly, and good luck to DraftKings. When we come back, Ron Flatter has an update. The weather is not good tonight in Boston. VSiN.com, SiriusXM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
We ready? We take teasers on the NBA.